E mea ana te whakatauki, kia whakatōmuri te haere whakamua. E koro mā e kuia mā koutou ki tō pairau. Anei mātou ngā mangainga o te moana nui a Kiwa, te tiro atu nei ki a koutou. I koe a te whetū, i koe a te marama. Periko mai ai i te poho o rangi nui, e ngā mate, whakangaroa tura. As the old proverb says, I walk backwards into the future with my eyes fixed on my past. To all those who have passed beyond, here we stand, descendants of the great ocean of Kiwa, our gaze fixed on you. As you walk the stars, as you walk the moon, shine down on us from the chest of Ranginui the Sky Father. To all those who have passed on, we bid you farewell.
In this time of unprecedented planetary crisis, we, the Kaitiaki, gathered at Te Hui Oranga o Te Moana Nui a Kiwa 2024, who are descendants of the Pacific and stewards committed to the enduring welfare of our great ocean and its peoples, channel the spirit of our shared tupuna here at Whaingaroa and rightfully speak these words. We assert the Tino Rangatira and the Mana Motuhake of Maori, the Tangata Whenua of Aotearoa, and the foundational place of He Whakaputanga, Te Tiriti o Waitangi and Tikana Maori in Aotearoa's constitutional transformation and our collective action. We remember those Te Hui Oranga o Te Moana Nui a Kiwa held before, which brought Maori into committed solidarity with our Pacific phenomena and provided for Indigenous representation within the peace movement in Aotearoa.
We remember the movement for a nuclear-free and independent Pacific, honoring its legacy and those members who are now elders or ancestors, and invoke the People's Charter of 1983, which stands as the foremost expression of Pacific people's opposition to nuclear colonialism in all its forms. We reaffirm the Whaingaroa Declaration of 2022, which called for action from Aotearoa within coordinated regional campaigns for decolonisation, demilitarisation, and environmental justice. In accordance, we call for renewed solidarity for Te Oranga o Te Moana Nui a Kiwa, and further resolve that
decolonisation is unfinished in the Pacific, where sovereignty was never ceded. We demand colonial occupiers honor and fulfill the process of decolonisation without delay or even impediment, and informed by indigenous-led self-determination efforts. We demand colonial entities rescind and repudiate the doctrine of discovery and its concept of terra nullius. We reject the limitation of the Blue Water thesis upon the obligations of colonial nation states to uphold human rights of indigenous people through self-determination. We reassert the inalienable right to self-determination for our Whanaunga, the indigenous people of West Papua, Kanaki, Mahoinui, Uvea and Futuna, Banaba, Bougainville, Guahan, the Northern Mariana Islands, America Samoa, Rapa Nui, the Kingdom of Hawaii, and the First Nation of the lands now called Australia, and their sovereign right over their ocean and island space.
We oppose all colonialism and coloniality which divide and bind us, de-establishing our society. This includes the neo-colonial use of borders, debt, and tariffs by imperial nations and their capitalist financial institutions, and the racketeering, resources exploitation, and gross human rights violations of multinational corporations. We demand the decolonization of institutions and racist systems within religion, justice, education, health, finance, and politics, and immediate reparations and restitution for the violence committed and the damage caused to our peoples. We urgently call for Aotearoa to support an Indigenous-led and broadly representative human rights mission to Kanaki and West Papua.
We condemn the unilateral actions towards Te Tiriti o Waitangi by the New Zealand government as racist, fundamentally undemocratic, and an unethical diminishment of the legal and political status of Te Tiriti. We further echo the call of global Indigenous leaders upon the New Zealand government to act in good faith and with respect for Te Tiriti o Waitangi, upon which the legitimacy of its existence rests.
Demilitarisation ensures genuine security for the region away from others' wars. We want no war in the Pacific and call on the United States, China, France, United Kingdom, Australia, Indonesia, Canada, Russia, the European Union, New Zealand, and their military pacts and alliances to de-escalate geopolitical tensions while affirming our right to live peacefully without the harms of extractivism and exploitation brought by those military powers. We stand with the Indigenous peoples of West Papua, Kanaki, Guahan, Northern Marianas, Australia, Papua New Guinea, and Hawaii in resisting the intensifying military-industrial buildup and all those opposing the occupation of their islands. We call for an immediate end to all military leases.
We reserve the sovereign right to define our own security and reject all militarized solutions to socioeconomic and environmental issues, including economic dependency on the military-industrial complex. We honor the Treaty of Rarotonga, reassert that we are a regional nuclear-free zone, and demand a demilitarized Pacific in its entirety. We urgently call on the New Zealand government to reject involvement in the AUKUS military pact, withdraw its participation in war exercises, and hold the United States, France, Australia, United Kingdom, Indonesia, and all others who are accountable for the impact of militarization in the Pacific. There can be no ocean of peace without self-determination, ecological justice, gender and socioeconomic equity.
Ecological justice is imperative and owed to us as the stewards of this living planet. We recognize the imminent crisis as we overshoot planetary boundaries and our ocean and island ecosystems collapse under colonial, capitalist, and cis-heteropatriarchal systems that are operating as intended. We affirm the fierce leadership and special roles that women embody and that serve in protecting our taiawa. We honor those sacred relationships and we recognize our ancestral deities that ground, nurture, and connect us to whenua.
We know that Indigenous solutions are necessary, but have been ignored. Accordingly, we reiterate calls for land back and protected commons so that we can build regenerative societies that embody ecological justice across all territories. We call for the truthful recognition and redress of ongoing nuclear violence and military toxic waste by France, the United States, the United Kingdom, and Japan within the territories, and a stop to the Fukushima dumping and AUKUS nuclear proliferation.
We reject new forms of extraction and false climate solutions, including those promoted by our own, such as seabed mining, nuclear energy, geoengineering, and carbon trading. Knowing they do not work and often mask land theft and further exploitations of Indigenous people, we call on Pacific leaders to reject such frontier terrorism and aquanellis. We remind the New Zealand government of its obligation under the United Nations Declaration for the Rights of Indigenous People to require the inclusion and free, prior, and informed consent of Indigenous people in environmental projects, nationally and internationally. We demand an urgent transition from fossil fuels, including a global treaty on their non-proliferation. We demand the recognition of ecocide as a crime against humanity. We urge New Zealand to hold Australia and other carbon majors accountable for their climate criminality.
Te Moana Nui a Kiwa is our ancestral ocean and a living entity. Ceaselessly moving, it stretches from the abyssal depths to the open, starry skies, embracing all lands and life that it touches. That's touched by its tides and currents, connecting us genealogically. We must protect the Moana as our shared heritage and a matter of survival, for there is no future of Pacific peoples without it. On this land, we acknowledge the importance of that intergenerational struggle. As we walk backwards into the future, we look to our ancestors and envisage those to come. We draw breath and courage from their sacrifices, wisdom, and unyielding fortitude. Invigorated, we carry forth the torch, lighting the undying fire of justice and letting the smoke of our struggle rise to be seen by others.
Pacific to agitate, educate, and organize together for our collective liberation.
Ka whawhai tonu mātou! Ake, ake, ake! Ka whawhai tonu mātou! Ake, ake, ake!